Hey, and we're back here on the Xtreme Talk with
Doctor Defiant.
Doctor Defiant. And I heard some space-time continuum stuff going on right there. That was real cool.
Yeah, I'm from another dimension.
Okay, got you. Oh, tonight we're going to be talking about the conflict in Israel. No one wants to talk about this. No one cares to talk about this, Doc.
So let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, the other night, really Monday, Hamas attacked Israel with over 1,200 rockets fired into Israel at random different targets from the Gaza Strip. 7 Israelis were killed, over 200 wounded.
Yes, it's actually depressing.
It is. But the good thing is 90% of those rockets were stopped by the Iron Dome. Do you know anything about the Iron Dome?
No, I don't. Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, the Iron Dome is with picture it like Call of Duty. You play Call of Duty? I know you do.
Come on, man.
The Iron Dome is they're like radars put on the back of trucks, and they're scattered just as much as cell phone towers are over here in America. And anytime a rocket is fired or anything comes over Israeli airspace, it I saw that.
I'm sorry.
It it sends a signal to the launch pad to track that missile, and it fires the missile into and protect. It's basically like a force field with missiles.
So it's like some Avengers thing.
Yeah, similar to the Avenger thing. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about this bombing though is that it actually kind of seemed to come out of nowhere. So like this was like the most random thing.
No, well, it kind of is, but it isn't, honestly.
Really?
Uh, well, first thing is and we'll go more into what the reasons why they're doing it into the show, because that is it's been going on for hundreds of years, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you that.
But Israel retaliated when they got fired upon. They got to think, wait, this Iron Dome, let's go back to the Iron Dome. It is protecting Israel. And 1,200 rockets got fired in on Israel, and only 10% got through. Which tells you they saturated the Iron Dome with so many rockets.
Yeah.
But Israel retaliated by doing key bombings or air talent, or not talents, air raids on them and airstrikes, hitting certain key targets in Hamas, killing 103 Palestinians. That's what they call themselves, as Palestinians. And do you know anything? You know who Hamas is, anyways?
I actually know very little about that.
Hamas is a terrorist organization that just out of the blue thinks they're a country.
So they're Canada.
Not really. They're worse.
You sure?
Well, see, Hamas is about like, you remember when BLM did that stuff over there in Seattle?
Yes, I do.
And they claimed what was the name of the city blocks they took over? They called themselves their own country. The free state of Chad or something like that.
Yeah, the thing. Chadwick, yeah.
That's what Hamas is. They just sit there and said, this is our land, this is what belongs to us, and we have our own country.
Okay, but you know what the problem is? It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. But the sad thing is, certain nations in the world has recognized them as being a a country. A lot of the
It doesn't.
Islam.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. But
If I came into your studio right now, threw you out, and said, "Nope, it's my studio now," guess what? It doesn't work like that.
well, see, it's about like you coming into my studio and sitting on this part of my desk right here and saying, "This is my part."
Okay, one, both of us can't fit in your studio, so your argument isn't relative. Two, regardless, it doesn't work like that.
Well,
So you're just proving me right.
well, you brought that up. Let's bring this up. Look at the map right there. Israel's not that big.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not.
I mean, you look at that. The white right there. That's Israel.
Yeah, that's all. That's all they get. They are literally the speck.
They're given very little bit of land, and they were told, "This is where you got to live." Oh, but the good thing about the raid that Israel did, one death out of the 103 Palestinians was a Hamas commander called Bassam Asa. So
Think about when that kid was learning to spell his name.
yeah, well, we got rid of one terrorist, and 500 were wounded, and Palestinians. And what's interesting is Lebanon, which is north of Israel up there, the Red Country.
Yeah.
Lebanon has a terrorist group called Hezbollah. Sounds like you're sneezing.
How'd
Oh no, we just came up with 2 more new terrorist groups.
I could come up with at least 3.
But they fired 3 rockets today at 3 p.m. into Israel. But the thing is, they didn't hit Israel; they hit the shoreline.
And just by looking at your map here, obviously they're a small, very small, little country. But if you take note here, we have Israel and we have the Red Sea, we have Jordan. My question here, why do they even, what's the point of this?
Okay, Israel. Look at Israel right here.
I see it.
You see the West Bank?
Yes, I do.
That belongs to Israel.
Okay.
But that is Palestine. They claim that. And down there where it says Gaza Strip, the little green strip,
yes,
that is Palestine also.
Yes.
So they took 2 parts of the map and said, we are our own country.
It's like a 3-year-old trying to get a mind phase, though.
Well, you probably like 3-year-old playing Minecraft, honestly. They go over there and say, this is my part of my map.
Yeah, but see, there's just the fact that, first off, this is obviously horrible. This doesn't need, I'm not going to make fun of this. But I feel like this is going to set off a chain reaction.
It is.
Like, this isn't over.
No, it's not. And it's far from over. Like, there was breaking news that Israel is planning to retaliate with ground invasion.
Of course they're going to retaliate.
Oh yeah, they're going to retaliate. It's crazy, the whole thing. And see, in my breaks coming up a little bit, I got clips from different Israeli. There was a young lady, I think it's in my second break on to the hour. It's a lady from the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force. She shows videos of what's going on and she talks about it. And I got her permission to use the footage. So
see, I feel like there's going to be a chain reaction to this, and this is obviously an issue that is going to affect everybody.
It is. Well, prime example, Benjamin Netanyahu is the prime minister. They call him BB, so I like it. They love him. They call him BB. But BB called our President Biden, and President Biden surprisingly backed BB up.
Yeah, really? Are you sure he didn't say something to the tune of, when I was a kid and I was working at a lifeguard and the little kids would push my hair and the hair would come back up in the water? I love little kids jumping on my lap.
And I took the razor blades and I dulled them up on the concrete.
Yeah, some guy named Corn Pop. Like, I didn't know what this guy was talking about. Can we, actually, after the podcast, can we pull that video up? Like,
I don't. You gotta find it. But yeah, it's just crazy what is going on down there. And when we come back from the break in a little bit, we're going to be talking about the history of Palestine and Israel and what started this fight right here that started Monday. And it gets crazy what started.
see, I think I don't want to give a spoiler alert or anything, but I think I already know what started this fight.
But we're going to roll the break.
So here's the bad news. No matter how hard we try, we will never be righteous. We will never be good. You see, breaking God's law means breaking one law breaks the entire law, separates us from God.
He sent his son, his only son, to live a righteous life, to die on the cross to pay the penalty for our sin, and to raise again on the third day.
There is nothing we can do to earn our own salvation. Our works are like filthy rags.
That by grace we are saved through faith. We have that gift. We have that option. We are allowed to take that and not die.
Isn't that amazing? Is God giving us sinners a chance to have eternal life with him?
Believe in the finished work of Jesus, the death, burial, and resurrection, and you will be saved.
Hey, and we're back. It's going to bring up that
The
third
little
map.
guy. The little guy praying over his mom.
I know. That tells you how serious they're taking it. Even the kids. That kid,
Yeah.
what was he? Probably 5, 6?
Maybe. I was thinking he's probably about 4, but
Yeah. And he's saying a whole religious prayer over his mom, blessing her.
And he can barely speak.
But he hit it word for word. It's amazing.
I mean, that just shows you how seriously it's taken.
Yeah. But going into the history of what goes on with Palestine and Israel, and I brought the map back up. Back when Israel was given its independence in 1948, the land belonged to England.
Yeah.
And they were trying to find a place for the Jews to live after the Holocaust and give
Yes.
them their own country.
Yes.
The area was called Palestine because of Britain calling it Palestine on back into the 1700s and stuff. When they divided the land up, they made 2 different states called the Jewish state and the Palestinian state. What's so funny is the Palestinian state, go to the big map here, is Jordan. That's where Palestine, the Palestinians,
Right there.
they have their own country.
They do.
Israel has their own country.
They have
But-
a spec, yes.
And the sad thing is they turn around and says, well, the Palestinians don't have their land, so we need to give them their land.
See, but like the whole thing, it's just this is a power struggle. Okay.
It is. And Israel has took land and gave it back. all of the green, rather in Egypt where it says Sinai, they took that back in 63 or 64, I'm sorry. They took that. They took the Gaza Strip. They took the West Bank. They took the northern area, and they gave it back to them.
This doesn't just affect Israel. This doesn't just affect them. That's not the point. The point is this also affects Saudi Arabia. This also affects, literally Syria, anybody in that area.
Well, see, Syria has even lost a part of the northern bank of there.
I know.
They lost that. It's that little clip right there in between the red and the Syria, which is purple, that little bit of white strip. That used to belong to Syria, and Israel took that and was pretty much, nope, we're not giving it back. Because they attacked Israel, and Israel turned around and just took the land.
These people need to talk to Master Yoda and learn to free themselves from attachments.
And what's so funny is they're fighting over, and they're claiming it's because they believe in the Holy Land and stuff. And they're fighting to keep the Holy Land.
That's an excuse.
But here was, why send 1,200 rockets in to destroy your holy spots into Jerusalem if it's so holy?
Because that's the excuse, Kyle. That's not the truth.
It's not. It is not. And now what started it this past Monday, it goes back to the end of April. There was an election, even though Palestine is not seen as a country by a lot of nations, UN recognizes it as a nation. I don't know why.
Because they're the UN. Anyways, that don't matter. Continue.
And the guy over Palestine is a person from Hamas. He has been like a president, dictator, since I think 2003 or 4. And he decided to hold an election this year. And when he found out he was going to lose the election, he canceled the election.
What a marshmallow.
I mean, that's like...
when you get picked last for dodgeball.
See, that's like you sitting there going, okay, I'm going to make my own football team, and I'm going to be the 8th grade football team, even though I'm a senior. And you get mad when your made up football team, who never plays a game, decides to vote on a new cheap team captain. So you tell them.
This is literally the equivalent to playing rugby and saying, ow, you're hurting me.
And what's so funny is it ain't funny, it's sad. He got so mad, he blamed it on the Israeli Jews, but he was losing the election. Now, first,
the guy acts like he lost a game of Fortnite.
Prime example, you brought up Fortnite. That's like playing Call of Duty, and some kid says, I'm playing Fortnite right now, and he's really playing Call of Duty. How can you hold an election from in a country that's like Alabama going, we're not part of the United States, we're going to hold our own election for our own president, and get mad when California don't vote for what Alabama wants?
Exactly. It's stupid. And like I said earlier, this is going to set off a chain reaction. This is not over. We will possibly start feeling ripples and effects of this in the U.S.
Yeah, because it's going to mess with the oil.
Already has messed with the oil.
Well, I mean, we already had that, and I'll bring this up. We've already had the whole thing with the hacking of the pipelines.
You know what's funny about that? I don't know if that's necessarily true.
It was a true event, but the thing is, I think it's blown up out of proportion.
I think it is too. And then, of course, you get people over in my city right now. They're like panic buying gas. I went to get gas earlier today. There is a line all the way to the sports store around the corner.
Wow.
I'm not exaggerating when I say 50 cars.
The other day on CBS News morning show, Andalusia, Alabama was on CBS News.
For what? Most rednecks in a single district?
Wait till you hear. They had a SUV, probably had about 8 gas cans in the back and probably 10 gas cans on the asphalt. And the guy was filling it up. They were talking. I'm like, seriously.
I need it here for my tractor.
Well, did you hear what the CDC, not CDC, the environmental people said this morning?
The environmental people? No.
They put out that the EPA, sorry.
There you go, Scout. I was just going to see how long it took you to get that one.
The EPA put out, you don't need to be using plastic bags to hold gas.
Do they have to say that?
I guess so. I guess
that's okay. If you look at the flea medication, the stuff you give cats and dogs, like the flea stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says this product is not for inhalation.
So, I mean, we're dealing with a stupid society. And I hate to say that. We are. We're dealing with stupid society.
Well, people are idiots, man. People are still like, what was that crap? The cinnamon challenge.
Oh, cinnamon challenge. Oh, good Lord. The Tide Pod challenge.
Who in their right mind would eat a Tide Pod?
Not me. I mean, the only challenge we had when I was in high school that we ever did is take out a eraser challenge where you do the eraser on your arm and it burns you.
Yeah, do you remember that myth that like it erased your skin?
Well, it does erase the part of your skin right there. You get a scab.
Yeah, but the myth that it'll like never grow back and stuff, that was up there with like Pop Rocks and soda.
That was the original Pop Rocks.
Yeah, like, and you know, the only thing that happens, obviously, if you eat Pop Rocks and soda, the only thing that happens is you fart. But like, and they reek too, dude. They reek. I don't know what it is.
I bought my kids a whole pile of Pop Rocks the other day.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Oh, they love them.
Okay. I didn't freak them out. Like,
It did at first.
were they scared of them?
My 4-year-old sit there and just threw it up and poured the whole bag in his mouth, and you heard.
It sounded like he's shooting an M4.
Oh, it was great.
Hit the deck!
No!
Now, you know what would be really funny? Take your 4-year-old to a PTSD clinic for war vets and have him do it again.
No. Not good idea. Not good idea. But yeah,
by the way, that was a joke.
That president of Palestine is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But that's what started. Then when he lost, or he was going to lose election, and he turned around and took the election away when he thought he was going to lose, that still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's a little kid in a mind phase.
He decided to tell his they don't even have a police force. It's a terrorist group called Hamas. It's a terrorist group called Hamas. That's all. And he decided to tell them to give away knives and stuff, and tell them to kill any Jew they see.
Oh, wow.
And Israel was like, pretty much, nope. Screw you, you're not going to do that. And that's when they got mad and fired 1,200 rockets. Now, here's my question is, how did a terrorist group get a hold of 1,200 rockets in the matter of a week?
Well, they already had them. Yeah.
Already prepared?
Yes, clearly. They set this up, clearly. Okay?
See,
they set this up. They planned for this to happen.
Thank you. See, and you got a spoiled brat screaming, I don't want to lose. And then he fires rockets at miraculously appeared? No.
Yeah, well, you know what? He didn't pull those rockets out of his butt. So,
And these are new rockets too that reach further than the old ones. They reach.
okay, so since you told me that information, that tells me that this was already pre-planned. This was premeditated. This was set up. He wanted it to go down like this.
Now the question is, I haven't found no leads on this. Where did
And
they
you
get?
won't.
Where do they get the rockets from?
Now that I don't know. You know, I
Who sold this terrorist group rockets?
possibly their own president, man. Like,
No, I mean they don't have no factories to make stuff like that.
oh, that's a tough one.
It has to be someone else. Be it. I hate to point the finger. Let's go back to the map.
Pull up the map. Yeah.
It's got to be. See, Syria doesn't have the capability of doing it.
No, it wasn't Syria. No.
They're hurting. Lebanon is kind of hurting because Hezbollah's been hurting them the whole time. Jordan has got a peace treaty going on.
Why do I keep thinking it's Saudi Arabia?
I have a feeling you're about right.
I was just like, why do I just keep thinking Saudi Arabia, man? Saudi Arabia.
That or Iran.
Well, yeah, it could be Iraq, but I'm really leaning more toward Arabia.
And now I know Iran supplies Hezbollah.
Yeah.
They supply them with rockets, so their rockets can't fire that far. So that is. Now, here's a crazy question. Could Russia?
Yeah, that was in the back of my mind, dude.
I mean, Russia could supply them. So,
I mean, I know a lot of people are afraid to touch on this topic, but I'm not.
yeah, and everyone's been screaming war crime going on this past week. And we'll come back after this break. We're going to talk about the war crimes and see who's really doing a war crime.
Saudi Arabia.
We'll find out.